what I'd like you to start thinking about when it comes to job hunting is that job hunting is like doing a CTF. Like it is like hacking. It's like a CTF. Like your job is to get into a company through the things we're going to talk about today. And so if you treat job hunting like a CTF, you're going to have a whole lot more fun job hunting. Can everybody hear me? Moving on to the next phase. Just need a confirmation, either Twitch chat or somewhere.
We can hear you in the room.
Cool. All right, moving on. Okay, so the 5 steps to find a job are this. You find a job to apply for, and you're like, really? Like you came here to tell me to find a job to apply for? And there's 2 ways to do it. We're going to talk about both ways today. Create a custom resume for each and every job that you apply for. At this point, a lot of times people look at me like I'm insane. You're like, you want me to create a resume for every single job I apply for? And the answer is yes, I do. I want you to create a resume for every job you apply for, but I'm going to show you how to do that quickly and how it's not actually terrible. Apply at the company's website. So Indeed, Monster, LinkedIn, Glassdoor, and all these companies have spent millions of dollars trying to keep you in their ecosystem. And what I'd like you to do is start going to the company's website, because once you get to the company's website, it is a treasure trove of recon that you can start collecting about that company to understand how that company hires and to find the people who would actually hire you and to reach out to them directly. Once again, if you treat job hunting like a CTF, it actually becomes a whole lot of fun. Step number 4 is to find the people at the company to introduce yourself to as a person who just recently applied at that company. And then lastly, keep track of all the things. And what keeping track of all the things looks like is that you actually keep track of all the things. Where did I apply? What did I apply for? Who did I talk to? When did I talk to them? How did it go? Did they respond back to me? Like, keep track of all the things. If you don't keep track of all the things, you will at some point feel like you haven't done anything at all, because you won't be able to look back and see all the things that you've done. Also, there are people that you might talk to over the next 6 weeks to a year that they say something like, reach back out to me in 2 years, or reach back out to me in 6 months, or reach back out to me in 6 weeks. And if you don't keep track of that, you will forget to do that. I am guaranteeing you'll forget to do that if you don't keep track. So let's go back to this find a job to apply for. So there's 2 ways to do it. One, you go to LinkedIn, you go to Glassdoor, you go to Monster, you go to any of these websites, and you do exactly what I'm about to do. If you want to become a SOC analyst, or if you want to become a pen tester, if you want to become something, you just type it in to LinkedIn or Glassdoor or Monster or Indeed, and this helps you get started, right? I'm not saying you can't use these websites. I'm saying don't use them to apply for the job, because if you look over here right now, we got this tier 1 federal SOC analyst in Baltimore, Maryland, posted 3 months ago. 3 months ago, that's ridiculous. It's got 43 applicants, and you can apply right here. Now, why am I even here today? Like, why am I at RITSec? Why am I talking about job hunting? It's because I have a job hunting live stream that happens twice a week. In fact, today I'm going to be a little late for it because I'm here, but I do it on Tuesday nights and Friday afternoons. And so far, 190 people have come back to let me know that they got a job based on things that I talked about and the techniques that I shared. And the only reason I keep track of the numbers is because you care about that. Like, I don't necessarily care about that. Like, it helps motivate me, like, yes, it worked, or thank God it worked. But for the most part, I keep track of that number because you might be sitting here going like, all right, you're going to talk about a lot of things I never heard about with job hunting. Does it work? Yes, it worked for at least 190 other people. And so it may work for you. All right, so if I type in SOC analyst over here, it's going to give me 301 jobs. And I'm like, suspicious. So if I hit refresh, it's actually going to show me how many jobs are for SOC analysts in the United States right now, which is 16,522. Now, if you wanted to start job searching like I'm showing you to do right now, what I recommend that you do is go over to the all filters section and you click on past week, not anytime, not past month, not past 24 hours, past week, and never, ever, 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 ever click the experience level on any website to find a job. And the reason why is because the person who uploaded it to the website didn't exactly know which button to click, so they clicked all of them. Or why would they want to limit the amount of people who see the jobs to just entry level or internship? Because maybe somebody out there would see the job. So the person who uploaded this, it behooves them that the more people see it. So why would they want to limit that? So I'll show you what to do. All right, so if it's past week, and let's say you don't want to leave where you're currently living and you're like, I like it here, it's where all my friends are, then you can click on the remote tab here and it will shrink this down to the 746 jobs posted in the United States in the past week for SOC analysts that are remote. All of this making sense so far? Cool. All right, so we got SOC analyst, United States, past week, remote, and we have this job right here. 6 days ago, 77 applicants, and you're like, okay. It says Sentinel-1, so I can right-click here and go to new tab and take a look at what Sentinel-1 does and who they are. And we got FireEye here and Fastly and Avertly and FireEye and Rider Systems and Oracle and all these jobs. But you're like, wait a second, Jason. You told me not to click on the entry level or internship, but I'm getting ready to graduate, and I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm qualified for the senior SOC analyst role. Cool. Let me show you what to do. You go minus senior and minus SR. If you do minus senior and minus SR, it would get rid of all the senior level and senior level jobs that are available in the search. So that's why you don't click on that like actual like experience level. You just do this minus senior minus SR. And now we'll get rid of all the senior level positions. So we're here right now. We got Agile Resources. This is a job that's promoted. Why do jobs get promoted on LinkedIn? Well, two things. One, they're having a hard time hiring. Two, they're using it as a marketing technique. Or three, there's actually three, or they have a contract that they just won and they need to fill positions quickly in order to not be in breach of the contract that they won. So get this, like there's a lot of companies out there that have like 5 employees. So they only have 5 employees, but they bid on this big contract where they get like millions of dollars, but they say they're going to have 15 employees. Well, you don't want to hire 15 people until you actually know you got the contract, and then you're going to hire the other 10 people. But then you get the contract and you're like, oh my God, we got to hire 10 people in the year 2022 when cybersecurity jobs are scarce and hard to find. And so they go and do these promoted posts. So if you ever see promoted for one of it's either having a hard time hiring in their area. Second, they're using it as a marketing tactic, or 3, it's because they just want a big contract and they need to fill it. Now, whenever I see a promoted post, I'm like, well, hello there, Shauna. Like, this is step number 4. But I want to show you how easy it is to reach out to anybody that you want to reach out to. Like this is Shauna George, technical recruiter at Point St. Lucie. If I click on her contact information and see if it actually has any contact information. If I look down here, she's a technical recruiter for Agile Resources, and I can look to see what that is. But then I can click on here and see, well, what is she doing on LinkedIn? And so as of 19 hours ago, Shauna liked this post here about a business analyst at Agile Resources, which is not the job that you're currently hunting for, but you could clearly just click on this comment and say, tag Shauna. How you spell it? S-H-A-U-N-A. Oh, I can't tag her. That's weird. Let's see if I just do it like this. No, can't tag her. All right, so I say, Shauna, I see you posted about a SOC analyst position. Would it be possible to speak with you about the position so I can introduce myself and learn more about the hiring practices at your organization? Okay, so how many of you right now, like you may or may not be able to respond, how many of you right now are watching me just find like this person here, Shauna, who posted this job description for Agile Resources? I haven't even looked at the job yet. I haven't. I could if I wanted to. But if I go over here, I find her, I take a look at her activity feed. I see that she liked this, and Betty, actually it's Betty, so that's where I was a little off. So I can tag Betty, so we'll do that. So Betty, get rid of the last name to make it, more personal. Betty, I see you posted about, I see your company posted. See, now I'm actually reading it. I see your company posted about a SOC analyst position. Would it be possible to speak with you about the position so I can introduce myself and learn more about the hiring practices at your organization? Question mark. Okay. Always read something over twice before you send it to somebody just to make sure it actually says what you want to say. And I can post right now. You could totally post this. I could move down here and see that they're looking for this job. And what else is, there's a senior embedded security engineer, and scroll through here. There's some other stuff. We have a senior cloud engineer over here with Clint is hiring. We got human resources generalist over here. So I've already skipped ahead to number 4. And the reason why is because number 4 is find people at the company, like recruiters and the other people who work there. But I clicked here and it just said posted by Shauna. This happens from time to time. It's not every time, but it happens from time to time that if they list the person who actually posted it, then click on the person who posted it and introduce yourself, like Amber right here, who's a talent advocate at Averti. So if I click here, I can introduce myself to Amber. Now, if Amber has her messages open, which she does, here's the difference. If I go back over to here, Shauna has her messages locked, which means I can't just send Shauna a message. I can't right now, so I would have to go. But Amber left her messages wide open, which means I can send Amber a message if I wanted to, and I would send a message very similar. I see that you have a position available. My name is, and I'm getting ready to graduate from the RIT school with a degree in. And would it be possible to introduce myself and find out more about the positions that you're hiring for at your organization? Now, if you're sitting here going like, really? I just message people on LinkedIn about jobs that they post? Yeah, 100%. And if you're sitting here also wondering like, that doesn't seem too bad, or you're sitting here like, really? They would want to talk to someone like me? Here's my main takeaway from today. And this is the most important part about job hunting, is the don't say no on behalf of someone else. What most job hunters do is that they see something that they want and then they talk themselves out of it. Or they see something that they want to apply for and they talk themselves out of it. Or they see someone they want to connect with and they talk themselves out of it. Or for whatever reason, they're like, I want this thing, but I'm sure I can't get this thing because why would someone want to give me the thing? So what I'm going to let you know right now is don't say no on behalf of someone else is the main takeaway from today. Because when you see someone like Amber over here, who's offering a job for SOC analyst positions at Averti, and once again, this is for any job. This isn't just SOC jobs, it's for any job. And so if you see a job that you're interested in anywhere, this goes with the career fair that's coming up or anything like that. If you walk over to somebody, they start telling you about a job, like don't say no on behalf of someone else. Like, oh, why would they want to talk to someone like me? Yeah, so don't say no on behalf of someone else. Okay, so that is just a real quick crash course on how to find a job to apply for. The one way of doing it. Okay, so the one way of doing it is actually typing the job that you want and doing -senior, -SR, finding the job, scaling it down, doing the past week, past remote, all that stuff. But let me show you my favorite way to do it. So this is the second way to find a job to apply for. And I'm going to go over here to a job search that we did previously in another live stream I was doing. And what I did is I asked the audience, I said, tell me the companies you would want to work with. Like, are there companies out there that you have on your list of places that you want to work? And so what happened was I had them just throw out a bunch of names, and they had things like Accenture and KPMG and TrustedSec and Microsoft and Universal Studios and Zoom and Apple and Google and IBM and Deloitte and a local government and Adobe. So I'm going to ask you right now, do you have your list? The people in the classroom, the people on Twitch, the people who might watch the recording, do you have a list? Do you have a list of the companies that you would like to work for? And it's a rhetorical question. You don't need to answer it, but if you do want to answer it, feel free to do so. But if you don't have a list, why not? Like maybe you haven't thought about it, and that's fine. And here's where all of this comes from. Like, Jason, how did you figure out how to job hunt? Why do you do this? Like, what's the point? All that stuff. Let me explain. I was a teacher at a university in Florida. So I taught at a university in Florida. I taught at a film school there called Full Sail University. And I taught there for 9 years. And 5 of those years was on content creation and career. So it's about creating content and developing your career by creating content to develop your career, but developing your career through creating content, right? It's like a cyclical thing. If you don't make something, you can't build your career. If you don't build your career, you can't make stuff. But what happened was, and I'm going to tell you the same thing that I told them, And I was the last class. So imagine being in school, like imagine you're in school and you get to your very last semester, your last class, it's like you're towards the very end. At the end of this class, the end of this semester is your graduation. And so I would tell the students essentially, because it was like a month-long class at the very end. And I was like, all right, everybody, welcome. It's good to see you. My name is Jason Blanchard. I'm your teacher today. And at the end of this class, you will be unemployed. And it was like the first time for a lot of them that they thought about it, because they were in school, they were going to class, they were doing the schoolwork. Do you want to get an email with more info? Well, I accidentally just set off my Google something. All right, so I told the students at the end of my class, you will be unemployed, and you could see the look in their face of like, oh my God, I hadn't thought about it. Here's a station based on Exxon. Okay, Google, off. I think my cat did it. I think he triggered the microphone. Okay, so if you're sitting in your classroom right now, or if you're sitting on Twitch right now and you're thinking about the fact that at the end of this, thing that you're at RIT, that you'll be unemployed, it's true. You're going to be unemployed. And so what do you do with that? And so one of the things that you do with that is start putting your list together of where you want to work. And if you put this list together, just like brainstorm, like Microsoft, and I want to work at Black Hills, or I want to work at Trusted Sec, or I want to work for Fire. I want to work here. I want to work here. Just make that list, and you don't have to necessarily like know exactly where you want to go. Like as you job hunt, you're going to find other companies you can keep adding to your list. And the reason why I tell you to have a list is, I want to make sure that I have a list too. So I'm going to show you that I have a list. These are the lists. The list of companies I want to work for. And this list changes from time to time because the metaverse became a thing. And so I started thinking about the metaverse and the fact that the video is going to help create the metaverse. And then Meta, I didn't want to work for Facebook, but I might want to work for Meta, and Discord would be a cool company to work for. And there's a local ad agency in town that would be neat. Trusted Sec would be cool. Huntress Labs is local. I like Huntress Labs. Bad Robots, JJ Abrams company. You got the McCormick company that makes Old Bay seasoning. Atari Hotels. If you've never seen Atari Hotels, I'm going to open this in another tab. I don't know what this is, but I want to work there. At some point in the future, they're going to make these hotels that are Atari hotels. And if you scroll through, you're like, what is this? Why is this a thing? And why can't I work there? So like you can keep adding to your list. It's not a static list that can never change. It's a list that you make. And as you find things in places that you would want to work, you put stuff on it. Now, here's why I bring this up, because here's what I've learned about job hunting over the last 20 some years, and especially during the pandemic. If you hunt for a company to work for, you treat it differently. Because if you go here and you just do a search for SOC analyst, and you're like, all right, Agile Resources or TTI of USA or FireEye, oh, that's cool, FireEye, or Averta T, like you didn't go to RIT to just go work at some random company. Like I'm pretty sure that in your mind, you were like, I want to do this with my life. So why don't you try to do that with your life? And whatever that thing is, that's what you shoot for first. Like I had all these people that would come to Florida, to Orlando, to go to a university to learn how to do filmmaking. And then for some reason they would stay in Orlando. And I was like, why are you staying here? And they're like, oh, well, I got here and I don't know where to go next. And I was like, you go. You didn't come here to stay here. You didn't go to RIT to stay at RIT. You came there because there was a reason, you had a goal, you had a dream. So follow it. And that means you put a list together of where is my dream going to take me. And so you put this list together. And here's the trick to this list. Put it in the order of significance. Once you have your list together that you brainstorm of all the places that you would like to work, and it can keep growing over time. But if you're like, I want to work at Universal Studios, I want to do this thing at Universal Studios because I want to work in the film industry, but I want to do security in the film industry. But if I can't do that, I would like to work at Accenture. And if I can't do that, I'd like to work at IBM because I think that they're building supercomputers, they're making this, and I think that's cool. Or I love what Deloitte does. And so once again, put it in the order of where you want to work. Right? Atari Hotels, Brad? Like, man. Like as soon as I saw it, I was like, and it's on the list. Here's the other thing about Atari Hotels. As soon as I found Atari Hotels, I was like, so who are the people making Atari Hotels a thing? So I did a search for that. And there's currently no jobs for it, but there are people. So if I click on the people part, and you'll see that here is Shelly Murphy. She's the founder, managing partner of GSD Group. And I found this because I looked at the press releases that Atari Hotels put out. And so I saw the name Shelly Murphy as the president of this thing. And I was like, what is, and then I was like, there she is. She's on LinkedIn. And so we became, I connected with her so that way I can follow what she's doing, so I can see what she's posting. And if I can reach out to her, I can send messages now. So if I ever want to work at Atari Hotels, I've already been building that relationship. And it's not about the job that you're about to get. It's about like all the jobs you'll get over the next 20, 30, 40 years. It's about building those connections and keeping your list active. Okay, so Brad and the others, here's what happens. Once you have your list together, here's how you job hunt using your own list. You start at the bottom and you work your way up. You start at the bottom and you work your way up. You start at the bottom of your list and you work your way up. And the reason why you start at the bottom of your list is because you don't care as much. And you may be wondering like what that means. But if I was job hunting and it was the top of my list, like I really wanted to work at Universal Studios, like that's my dream job. That's where I want to go. That's the place that I want to end up at. Like that's what all this was about, was working at Universal Studios one day. Let's say that that was your dream. You're going to care way too much about every message you send, the resume you send, the interview you go on, all that stuff. You're going to care a whole lot about it, which is going to cripple you to making decisions and sending things and all that other stuff. But if it's at the bottom of your list, you're like, Adobe would be great, but if I don't get it, I'm fine. And so if you start job hunting at Adobe, here's what happens. Adobe is going to get the worst version of your resume, the worst version of your messages reaching out to people, the worst version of you doing interviews, the worst version of you essentially during the job hunt. But as you work your way up your list and you keep hunting and you keep finding things and you keep doing interviews and you keep tweaking your resume and you keep getting feedback from others, like as you keep getting better, then as you work your way up the list, all of a sudden, by the time you get to IBM and Deloitte and Accenture, like you found your footing, like you're used to talking to people during interviews, like you know how to explain yourself and what you're capable of. And so when you get to Universal Studios, you're like, I'm still a little stressed out about it because it's exactly where I want to work, but darn it, I feel a whole lot better at it. Now, here's what the question I get a lot of times, where like, yeah, but if you're job hunting going up the list, what if you get a job at Trusted Sec? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you got a job at the company that's on your list. My bad. Is that such a bad thing that you got a job at Trusted Sec? No. And the one thing I've learned about job hunting like this is that you get multiple offers. You're going to get an offer potentially at Zoom and Microsoft and Trusted Sec and KPMG. And all of a sudden you have to like decide between which offer is the better one for you in your future. And you may think right now, you're like, multiple offers, that would be amazing. It is and it isn't. The part that's amazing is like, oh, cool, I can negotiate. I can tell this one I'm getting this offer, and over here I can do this. But the hard part is like, which one do I pick? I've always received multiple offers when I job hunt, and it is always terrible because I have to choose which one that I want to do. And I want you to have that same terrible decision that you get to make as well. What if you do get a job at Trusted Sec and Universal Studios is at the top of your list? Don't stop job hunting. Like just because you get a job at Trusted Sec, stay for the 6 months to a year, like put in your time, like develop your skills, learn everything you can at Trusted Sec, but continue building out your connections and contacts and like skill level, like do everything you can and keep job hunting. Just because you got a job at Trusted Sec doesn't mean you have to stay there for the next 5 years until they either lay you off or you rage quit or something like that. Like that is not how jobs work. Like you don't have to stay because they hired you. There's no like, oh my God, thank you so much for this opportunity. I will stay until you no longer want me. No, it's a mutual decision between two people, two parties, you and the company have decided to work together. Now, what does all this have to do with with your career job fair. Okay, so how do you build out a resume? How do you build out a resume? All right, so here's one of the ways to build out a resume. You could sit at a blank document and try to figure out what to put on it. So here, let me show you what that looks like. Okay, and this is what some of you have been doing over the last week, or you've been putting off doing because you just, gross. I don't know about you, but like the idea of just staring at a blank document, trying to figure out what the heck to put on it is just terrifying and terrible. You're just like, I don't know what to put here. Like, I went to school, I took some classes. Here's what I like you to do. One, you can go do a search for the job that you actually want. So let's say it's a SOC analyst position, minus senior, minus SR. So that way it's an actual entry-level job. Click on jobs here, and I'm going to hit the refresh button so that we get all the jobs. Here's what I've learned about human beings. Humans, let's go over here so I can take some notes. Here we go. All right, I'll get back to that in a second. Humans suck at describing themselves. They are much better at finding something that describes themselves. And that's the reason why job hunting and resume building is terrible, because you're not good at describing yourself. I'm not good at describing yourself. Like, we're not good at describing ourselves. We're just not good at describing ourselves. Like, hey, can you tell me why you're great? No, I can't. Actually, I can't. I have no idea why you should hire me. I don't. So we suck at describing ourselves. We're much better finding someone that describes ourselves. So what I have learned to do and teach people is what you do is you, let's get rid of minus lead. I'll get rid of those lead jobs too. Okay, so we're down here to SOC analyst or SOC analyst. Or once again, I'm just using a SOC analyst to get started. You can do this for any job. And you go through here and it says developing standard operating procedures for incident detection, response, and forensic analysis duties. Like, that's what they're hiring for. You look through here, you're like, do you know how to do that? So what I want you to do is go through every job description that you can find. So instead of just trying to describe yourself, like on a blank sheet of paper over here, instead of just sitting here trying to describe yourself, what you do is you hunt for anything that can describe you. Performing log analysis for various operating systems and application platforms. You're like, I know how to do that. So you go over here and you drop that in as you paste it. And then you get to the next one, reporting on metrics from various NSM and SIEM products. And you're like, maybe. Like, if you don't know what an NSM is, you could just go to and change it to reporting on metrics from various SIEM products. And if you don't know how to do that, then don't put it either. But performing technical analysis of threats, vulnerabilities, and exploits to information assurance officers and managers. Let's say you could do that. Okay, so we go over here and drop this. But if you right now are like, Jason, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. Okay, so let's do this. Security intern. Information security intern at O'Reilly Auto Parts. I'm not saying you want to get a job at O'Reilly Auto Parts, but we go through here and it says duties and responsibilities, complete assigned information security task. I can do that. So you go down here to this and you just like complete assigned information security task. I can accomplish that. Obtain skills through classroom training in order to monitor security systems, assess, detect, analyze, investigate. I can also do that. So you drop that in as something that you can do. And so you would clean this up and make it look nice and do all the bullet points right. Down here it says qualifications. Do you have a high school diploma or equivalent? So you would go in here and say, you drop a bullet point in and you would say high school diploma from, fill in a blank, and like you could leave that out if you wanted to, or you could say, and college degree from RIT. You could put that if you want to, and once again, clean this up to where it makes sense to you. Interest in security network and monitoring technologies. You're like, absolutely, I have that interest. So you go over here and drop that in as another bullet point. Over here, it says ability to write technical documentation. Nailed it. Totally can do that. I've been doing it in the classroom. And you go over here, good problem solving skills. I have fantastic problem solving skills. And so you could even change that to fantastic problem solving skills. And then over here, it says good verbal. You know, I like how it says good verbal and written communication instead of saying great or experienced verbal and written communication. And then must work well in team environment. Like nailed it. And here's why I want you to harvest bullet points that make sense about you. Because I don't know about you, but I don't think I would have sat down and said I have good verbal and written communication skills. I don't think I would have come up with the fact that I'm a fantastic problem solver. I don't think I would talk about how I have the ability to write technical documentation. I would just think interest in security network and server monitoring technologies was a given. Like, isn't that what everyone thinks who's applying for this job? Or isn't that just like isn't that just normal? And the thing is, don't worry about what's normal. Put it on the resume. So that way people don't have to guess. They don't have to assume that you actually just put it there. So that way they can go like, oh, good, because that's what we're looking for. Then you move on to the next one. Also a security engineering intern. Are there things here that can help you with adding to your resume? So we move on to an IT security analyst intern. Are there any bullet points here? Conduct real-time analysis using SIM O365, email protection technologies, and other security tools with a focus. And if you're like, I could do that. Now, if you're also sitting here like, I don't know what you're talking about, let's go to rit.edu. Let me show you how you can take your course curriculum and spin it to show you have certain skills and abilities. And my computer is running so slow right now because it's got like Twitch and it's got Zoom and it's got everything up. So if I don't get a chance to bring this up the way that I want to, here's what I'd like you to do. If you go to your course curriculum for each one of your classes, remember when you were signing up for classes, it would say things like students will learn. Has anyone ever thought about that? Like it says students will learn. So if you look at all your curriculum and it says, here's what we're going to talk about over the semester. We're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this. We're going to have a lab on that. We're going to have a lab on this and a lab on this and a lab on this. And we're going to talk about this, this, and this. Well, if it's in your course curriculum, then what you could say is, I have knowledge of these topics because I learned them in school. So whenever you get over to like when you're here and you're like, well, I don't think if any of these are related, then what you would do is take the Rochester Institute of Technology, you would go to academics, you would click on the undergraduate degree, if that's what you're getting, you would search for the computer science, let's say that's what you were getting, or it's the computer security. So let's go back to computer security. And as you scroll through here, you would see curriculum, and they would say first year. I have this feeling that you have basic understanding of routing and switching. You have software development, problem solving. You go in here to other like second year, you'd say you also have you have knowledge of programming for information security. You understand the reverse engineering fundamentals. You have, and you could dive into each one of these and then pull information out of this of like actually pulling like keywords out that you know how to do because you took the class on it, where it says you now know how to do these things. And so you could take these things and say, I know how to do these things. Anyone have any questions so far? If I get down here to system administrator, once again, it will say things like technologies discussed in this class include operating system security, and service development strategies. So then you could say, I have knowledge of the technologies, operating systems, system security, and service development strategies. Now, if you have been doing things like hack the box, so if I go over here to hack the box, a lot of times the hack the box will say this box is for learning this, or for learning this, or for learning this, or for learning this. And same thing with try to hack me in any CTF and any cyber range that you go to, they're going to say things like, I learned to do this thing, or you will accomplish this by doing this box. What you do is you take that information, you translate it over to things that you know how to do, and then you drop it into your list of things that you're capable of. So here's what this document is called for you. You put all the things you know how to do by harvesting it from your course curriculum, by harvesting it from CTS, by harvesting it from job descriptions. You take and combine all those things together. And what you're going to call is a catch-all. So I just call it a catch-all resume. You take all that information, all the things that you're collecting, all the capabilities and skills that you have, and you put it in one location. So that way you can call it a catch-all resume. And this is what mine looks like. Whenever I find something that's true about me, I just copy it. I make sure it's 100% true. I then paste it on this document of all of these bullet points of all the things I know how to do, breaking down by category and job and things that I've done over the years. And so if I ever need to put a resume together, I just go over here and I'm like, let's grab this one because that's what they're looking for. They're also looking for this one right here. They're also looking for this one and this one. And they're looking for something that's very similar to this, and they're looking for something that's similar to this. So that way I can pull all those things together and create a custom tailored resume for the job I'm applying for. Because I'm not going to send this 10-page document to somebody, but I will pull bits and pieces out of it. So that way when I'm applying for this job over here, which says all these things, can you do this stuff? Then I will go through and find anything that like correlates to the thing that they're looking for and just building out a resume that goes, they want this, well, I got something similar. They want this, I got something similar. They want this, I got something similar. They want this, I got something similar. And so that's how you build a custom tailored resume for each and every job that you apply for. Now, lastly, so that's step number one, is to find a job to apply for. Step number two is to create a custom tailored resume by building out a catch-all resume of all your skills and abilities. So that way you don't have to sit here and actually describe yourself. You just find all the things that describe yourself written in like recruiter speak and hiring manager speak. So that way you don't have to actually write it out yourself. And then third thing is go to the company's website to apply. So what does that look like? If I was applying at this job at Novavax, and I got here to learn more about the company. So I go here and it's going to take me to the website and you're like, cool, careers. So then I go here to careers and I'm going to accept all these cookies because I like to live dangerously. And then you go through here and you're like, cool. What does this company do? Daniel Johansson. So one of the reasons that I like going to websites is because they list people's names sometimes. And the reason why that's cool is I'm going to show you what to do with that here in just a second. But you find the job because the job's over here. You find the job. So it's like an intern security analyst. So I'm go back over here. So let's say, is there intern, so careers? Let's take a look at this. Also, I'm just doing this on the fly. So I don't, there we go. So USA. And it's like, all right, cool. Now what? So it's going to go to the job board and I'm going to type in intern. And it's going to give me all the, wow, 150 interns. So let's go to security intern. And now it's got corporate security intern, IT security analyst. Let's say that's the exact same job. So you click here and it's all the same stuff. Cool. It's all the things that we already found. Fantastic. And then you hit apply now here on the company website. And the reason why it's like, do you have an account? And you're like, no. So one of my recommendations is that you create an email address just for job hunting. So an email for job hunting. So that way you can create all your accounts with that email address. All the emails that come from all the places that you apply for go to the same inbox. So it's not in the same inbox as everything else. You could have a sub inbox if you wanted to. You could forward everything to your current email, but you use one email account for job hunting. So we go back over here. And so I would apply. I already created a custom tailored resume. I would then, apply through the company's website. But one of the things that I'm looking for is like, is there any knowledge I can gain or any recon that I can do by going to the Novavax website? And when I said Leslie Harrison is a senior HR information systems specialist, right? So I go back over here and I type in Leslie Harrison. Is that right? It moved. Oh, it moved on me. That's not what I wanted. Oh, there we go. Leslie Harrison. And the company's Novavax. So Leslie Harrison, Novavax. And I don't want to look in jobs. I want to look in people. And there she is. The exact same Leslie Harrison, who's the managing HR reporting at Novavax. And I click on contact with him to see if there's anything there. Her messages are locked, which means if I had a premium InMail account, I could totally send that. Or I could go down here to take a look at her activity feed and see if she's been posting recently. And as of 2 days ago, she posted this thing from Novavax. And I could scroll through here to see if she has any jobs that she's posted. If I click on her post, I can see jobs specifically that we are seeking an energetic, responsible intern to join our growing organization. This was 2 weeks ago. So I would just click right here. Hello, Leslie. Would it be possible to speak with you about and I would link to the one from the company website. So you could link to the one on LinkedIn, that's totally fine. But I like looking at the one at the company website, because if I go over here to security intern, I'll show you another little trick. And then I find this job here. Take a look at this number. There's a number, all jobs have numbers to them. And it is this requisition number right here, ITSEC 002881. So you could drop in this message over here about the security analyst internship. You could put that rec. Would it be possible to speak with you about the security internship? I'd like to introduce myself and learn more about the hiring process. Okay, make sense? So step number 1 is to find a job to apply for. Step number 2 is to create a custom tailored resume by finding all these things about you and then tailoring it to the exact job that you're looking for. Step number 3 is to apply at the company's website. So that way you can start collecting data about the company, see if you can find anyone listed on the website, see if they have an internship program, see if they have an early hire program, see whatever it is that you can find out by being at the company's website. And then from there, finding the actual people who work at the company to introduce yourself to as someone who would like to work at that company. And then step number 5 is keeping track of all this information. So today you would say, you document as you go. We are on, today is 2/25, and it would be Novavax. And then you would, well, that's spelled wrong. And then you would find the job that was listed on LinkedIn. And then you would find the job that was listed on their website, and then you would find the person whose name it is that you found, which was, I can't even find it now. She's over here, Leslie Harrison. So you'd put Leslie Harrison here, what her job title is, and then her LinkedIn, and then you would mark that on 2/25. You emailed, your first contact was on 2/25, which means 7 days later, if you haven't heard from Leslie through LinkedIn, feel free to reach out to her again. And the reason why you're reaching out to her again is because people get busy, or they don't check LinkedIn as fast, or when they check it, there's other things that get piled in their inbox, or they wanted to respond to you, but something else came up. And so they forgot about it. And so when you ping them again, they're like, oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, let's go ahead and set up that call for next week. Or you don't hear from them again. And so you follow up 3 weeks later, one more time, say, hey, Leslie, just want to see if I could follow up with you one more time. See if it's possible to get on your calendar to discuss this internship that's coming up over the summer so I can introduce myself. And if she doesn't respond there, then move on to someone else at the company. Or you contacted multiple people at the company at the same time instead of just relying on one point of contact at that company. All right, so here's the last thing today. There's this secret thing that all college students have, this secret ability that college students have, and so do military members. So people who are in the military, they also have this secret ability. There's a thing that all college students have, and I'll show it to you right now. I go over here to, let's just type in Microsoft. So we got Microsoft over here. And then I go over here to Microsoft, and then I click on people. And then in people, I'm just going to click on security. Let's just say you want to get a job in security. And it's going to bring up the whatever 25,948 people that work in security. And then we get to Steve is the CTO of federal security. We got VP of security operations at GitHub. So I'm going to right click here. I got Matthew Townsend. We got Ernie over here. I'm going to click on, no, let's go to Vice President of Marketing here. And then we got Kamal here. Okay. So I just brought up all these people who worked at Microsoft, and his messages are open, locked. I mean, I click on contact information, see if there's anything here. It might be a Twitter account or something, or some kind of website that you can go to. There isn't. But if you look at their activity feed, are they actually using it? If so, can you then use that? But if I go over here to Matthew, also locked messages, contact information. See, we got a core website from a long time ago. Not going to be helpful. Contact information of this VP here of marketing. Nothing. Once again, you can still connect with. You can connect with anybody that you want to, and you can send that message. But Kamal has his messages open. Now, it doesn't mean he actually uses LinkedIn. I would take a look at the activity feed. And I got 1 minute before I'm going to end. So here's what you do. You have this ability to reach out to anybody in the entire world and say these words. Hi, my name is, your name. Would it be possible to talk to you for 10 to 15 minutes to find out how you got to where you are in your career, and what advice would you have for someone like me? And the reason why this works for college students and people who are in the military is because all these people who are at whatever level in their career, if a college student comes to them and humbly asks, how did you get to where you are, and what advice would you have for me? Those people will stop what they're doing and go, absolutely, let's set up a time to talk. Because one, they're at that point in their career where they would love to give back to somebody else, where they would love to tell you all the things that they did and what they would have done differently. And you come along and say, what would you have done differently? What advice would you have for someone like me? And you can reach out to anybody and do that. Is it going to work every time? Not every time, but it's going to work a lot of times. And if you keep that whole, like, don't say no on behalf of someone else, then you'll reach out to hundreds of people. Like, you'll start reaching out to people, and you'll reach out to people, and some of them will respond back, and you'll set up times to contact them, and some of them won't, and that's okay. But anyone who does respond back to you, and anyone who does give you a 10 to 15 minute phone call, introduce yourself for the first 2 to 3 minutes. And then after that, listen. Say, how did you get to where you are in your career? What advice would you have for me? And then at the end of that conversation, make sure you do this. You say, my 2 takeaways from our call today are 1 and 2. And my next steps, based on what we talked about, are. If you do this to anyone who gives you their time, they're going to remember you as someone that they want to keep in touch with. So my 2 takeaways from our call today are this and this. And my next steps based on what we talked about today are this. Because that means you were listening, that means you were paying attention, and you're going to apply their knowledge. And if the call was going well, you could say, would it be possible to reach back out in 6 months and let you know how it's going? And they'll like, absolutely, I would love to talk to you. And you're not asking for a job. You're not saying, would you hire me? You're just saying, how did you get to? Because people who hear you and hear like your sincerity and your humility, they're going to want to just offer you a job at this point. Not every time, but it's going to happen. That's all my time today. Thank you so much. Thank you, RIT SEC, for having me. I don't think I have time for any questions because it's right at the 1 o'clock hour, and I got to run to do this again on my Twitch live stream. So if you want to check that out, it is Banjo. It's twitch.tv/Banjo Crashland. Anything before we go, Braden?
I think we're good. If you need to run, you can run. Can we clap it up for that talk?
Thank you very much. Good luck at your career fair. Hopefully I can join you virtually next week. And if possible, I'll join you in person. Thank you so much for your time today. Good luck, everybody.
Thank you. I'll let you run.